Now, we have got a TV exclusive with a former Royal Marine. He's an author. He's called Lee West. And he went deep undercover in a migrant camp in Calais. We've got a couple of clips for you. This is the start of his extraordinary story.
Occupied a tent deep inside, so tonight we met back up with the boys from Chad that we met yesterday onto yesterday's update.
We're just about to make our exit from the tent. Don't think the boys are up yet. It's raining. We might be come from sat round the campfire. See what happens. From this angle, at the time it was still full of people, with fires inside the gym around, and we asked where the church was. This is what's been left.
Well, I'm very pleased to say that I'm joined now by the man himself. Well, Lee, thank you very, very much. Great to have you on the show. Could you just take me through the beginning of your journey? So the French side of this. How did it all begin for you?
Yeah, so a friend and me, Paul, every year we would go and live homeless for a week when on leave. And each year then we would up the ante and try something a little bit more edgy and a little bit more topical. And of course, nothing seems to be more topical in the UK than boats and illegal migrant camps, and especially the ones on northern France. So we came up with the idea of going, we've seen it all on the news. We all see it, of course, all the time. And you have to try and filter what you see from the news with what is actually going on over there. And we thought, well, let's go and have a look ourselves. Let's go across to France, dress scruffily, and try and blend in and see what's going on in these camps.
I will just ask you, because I imagine quite a few of our viewers and listeners are thinking this at the moment. How did you manage to blend in, Lee? Did you have to come up with some kind of backstory or something?
Yeah, that's right. So we weighed it up, and look, when we go homeless in the UK, it's easy to pretend to be a British person being homeless. We couldn't go across there and start pretending to be like everybody else who were in these camps. It just wasn't possible. We also didn't want to go across there and just be, oh, we're reporters or we're charity aid workers on the other end of the spectrum. So we had to try and find somewhere in the middle where we could go in there and actually glean some good information and get the real story from them, rather than them just giving us the copy and pasted line that they give to all the aid workers and all the reporters. Let's come up with something else, something that they haven't seen before, and get in there and have some real conversations. So we floated a few ideas around, and being that, yeah, we couldn't pretend to be them. The only logical one, realistic one we came up with, which sounded ridiculous when Paul first proposed it to me, was that we were deserters from the French Foreign Legion. So we joined the Legion. And of course, when you join the Legion, you get all your documents and identity stripped from you. We decided we didn't like it. We didn't want a piece of that. We jumped the wall and escaped from the Legion. And now, of course, we're making our way back to the UK, but we got no documents. We're without papers. We're living homeless until we can get word to the UK government who we are and get safe passage across. So the story was, until we got that safe passage sent to us, we were just living homeless in and around the northern French coast.
And it worked. Yeah. So they took that as, you know, they took the bait on that, as it were. So let's get into the meat and bones of it now then. So when you were there, what kind of stuff were you seeing? Because we do have quite a large refugees welcome brigade in this country at the moment, who maybe have rose-tinted glasses on when it comes to the type of people who are coming here. So you've lived amongst it there. You know, what were the people like? What was the situation like? You know, what are their actual stories? Go on.
Yeah, so we, like a lot of people, I guess, when you see it from the outside of the media, you think that this is just one big harmonious camp where they're all united in their goals and their aim of getting across the channel, and they're all sat with the campfires singing Kumbaya. And it's all one sort of unified, cohesive unit there. And it isn't at all. We found the exact opposite. We got there and we found there were different tribes and camps, settlements in different areas, which I guess is natural. When you're from different areas, you want to hang around with the people you're familiar with. And we got there, and there were various different of the wider area. They had their own little camps. So you had people from Sudan, Somalia, Eritrea, and then going across to the Middle East, Syria, Afghanistan, Kurdistan. And of course, all these people, just because they're in the same predicament, then suddenly become friends and allies, because a lot of them don't like each other from historical reasons. So we got there and we found there were these very fractured camps, and there was a lot of tension there as well. A lot of drinking, which our pictures showed, a lot of discarded cans, beer cans, kegs even, drugs. We definitely saw the effects of drugs. I mean, we lived homeless enough to see effects of spice and type of drugs like that. Hallucinogenics, we saw a lot of that. And then come darkness, of course, they're all getting a bit more drunk and a bit more edgy, and then the tensions would spill over and they would become a lot more violent towards each other. And so it wasn't a very pleasant environment to be in.
And what is when you were there as well, so you were just camping in amongst that as well and just observing it all. I mean, did you have any hairy moments yourself, or were you just kind of able to take a step back and see what was going on?
Yeah, initially when we got there, we were welcomed because they see a lot of people looking like us every day to help them. So, of course, they're weighing us up. But these guys there to help us, not just with food handouts. There's a lot of people there, a lot of NGOs, No Borders groups, who actually facilitate them getting across. They don't just give them handouts. They tell them, when they get to the UK, say this, say that. You'll remember a few years ago, there's a big influx of them saying, oh, I'm homosexual, and therefore I can't go back to my country. It may not be I'm fleeing from war now, because you rumbled me on that one, but you can't send me back now because the UK cares about human rights and I'm going to be persecuted because I'm gay.
So they are being schooled. Sorry to interrupt. I just think that's an important point, right? So they are being schooled by, the NGOs and the refugees charities that are over there. They're saying, right, when you get to Britain, you say this and they'll let you stay.
Yeah. They're prepared. They tell them how to fill in paperwork, what to say. They're fully briefed up on what to do when they get there. And these are active. We met them. No Borders was the biggest one we came across, who were just so overt about their actions and what their purpose was. There should be no borders. Everyone should be able to go where they want, and we will help them do that. Right. And we saw that. So, of course, the people are looking at us thinking, well, are these here to help us as well? So initially, we were welcomed, and we embraced that. And we didn't want to just go probing them straight away. We just wanted to sit around the campfire. We had a few beers as well to blend in, as you do, and to relax us. And then, as naturally as it does, we'd have a joke with them, start talking to them, and eventually their stories would come out then. And we'd get to a certain point in some of the camps where then there's a language barrier, of course. And we found the time to leave was that when some members would start speaking to the other members because most of them spoke English, in their mother tongue. And an argument would start happening, and we'd sort of be looking at each other going, they think they're arguing about us. And one of them's not happy with us being here. And of course, now the drink's coming into it and darkness has come in. So it's getting more heated. And there's a few times where we'd have to extract ourselves from that environment sooner rather than later.
Well, what we're going to do is we're going to pause it for now, because there's another half to this story, right? Which is the fact that you got across the channel, you got in a small boat, and your journey there. And I think that is actually equally as fascinating. There's nothing quite. It's all right for me here, sitting in a nice studio. You've been out there, you've lived it. And I know that our viewers and listeners are going to really look forward to hearing what you have to say next about your actual journey across. So we'll get stuck into that in a couple of minutes' time. All right, welcome back. So it's time now for the second part of this TV exclusive with the man who went undercover in the Calais migrant camp. He then did make that crossing back to the UK. Shall we have a little look at that?
So we just had a pickup from a special agent. We're on the back of this van, en route to the drop-off point for the next phase. We just had quite a close call with a big ship in the dark, because it's really hard to judge how close they are until it was sort of right upon us. We went across its front. We're still in the thick of it, still in the middle of the shipping lane. We think we're over halfway. We're just hitting quite a busy part of the lane. There's a big container ship. It's a bit choppy now. Waves getting a lot bigger. That is Well, that is it. We've made it. Gary-o, welcome to your new home, good buddy.
Well, there we go. The man behind the story, Lee West, still joins me now. Welcome back, Lee. Thank you, mate. Look, just before we talk about that actual channel crossing, can I just ask, when you were in those camps that we were seeing before, I'm quite intrigued to know, were there loads of women and children as well, or was it mostly men, do you think?
99.8% male, yeah, fighting age males. And we saw maybe one or two women the whole time. What their purpose was there, we don't know. We didn't get to talk to them. But, yeah, there was predominantly male, yeah.
And just to emphasise again, some of the stories that were coming out there, you said that some of them were getting schooled by some of these refugee groups, etc. When you were talking to them, what was their main motivation for wanting to come to Britain? Because they are in France, it's a safe country.
There are multiple reasons. Sometimes it was they have family members here. And again, through chatting to them man to man, the stories start to come out. We didn't ask them direct questions. I learned that in the Marines, and it always create a conversation and the answers will come out. And not just to the family members because they wanted to be with their sister, but the family members have got contacts in the UK for work, whatever that might be. And of course, helping them settle there and all the rest of the stuff. So a lot of it was that they already had contacts here. And of course, then they'd been briefed by these NGOs that this is what you're entitled to. This is what you can get. The British government will give you this. It will allow you to have all these extra benefits. So a lot of it was materialistic reasons why they wanted to come to England. Because like you said, France, it's a modern country. It's one of the leading powers in Europe. Yeah. And they'll be very well looked after. I mean, most people would want to move to France out of England.
Well, a lot of people have second homes in France, don't they, to be fair? In fact, a few people are off on holiday there as we speak. But Lee, we've still got a few minutes. I just want to ask about that crossing then. So how did you get in a boat? How did you get across? Just talk me through that, really, and then what that journey was like.
Yeah, we lived there for a week, homeless. And then a friend came across on the ferry with a van, so he could have been intercepted. He had the deflated dinghy in the back with a small engine. Met us after our 7 days of living in the camps on the French coast. We hadn't even pre-planned before we left to go to France where we were going to launch from. We did that from Google Maps while we were in the camps. We looked at Google Maps. There's a slipway into the channel. That's where we're going to go. So the first time we set eyes on where we're going to launch from was when we got there. So it could have been completely unsuitable. We got there. He met us with a boat. He was dressed as a Frenchman with a beret and a tash, which was a great bit of morale after 7 days living homeless in a camp. And a blow-up doll called Gary from Only Fools and Horses. We went then to the slipway, pumped the dinghy up on the beach with a 12-volt battery from a van. Nearly woke up half of the coast. It was so loud.
No police, though, I take it. No police, no gendarmes.
No, nothing. And we were near Sangat, the old migrant camp, so we weren't a million miles away from where they all are. We didn't go to Normandy or somewhere. So we were close. And looking at the maps, why did we pick that slipway? Because it was the only one we could see. So it was obviously an obvious prominent point to launch from, but there was nobody there, nobody there on the beach to greet us. It was on the other side when we got to England. Well, eventually when we got to England.
We've got about 45 seconds for you to explain what happened when you landed in Britain, mate. So do you think you can do that? Go on.
We landed, high fives. Nobody was there to meet us. Unfortunately, 2 migrant boats had landed further down the coast and been apprehended. After about an hour of us packing up, 3 actual migrants, we would have legged it. We made it. Nobody caught us. But, of course, we had to pack all our kit up and meet our friend. Whilst we were doing that, it took about an hour. Of course, the public spotted 2 guys washing up at daybreak on the beach, rang the police, National Crime Agency turned up, and the cuffs came out.
And I think you managed to reassure them that you were not, in fact, illegal migrants.
Yeah, apart from Gary, of course, the blow-up doll, which they didn't find amusing because we had pulled their pants down. We'd embarrassed them. We'd got across the channel with zero preparation and planning, limited resources as you could get, just a boat and a small engine, no support, not even a bearing. And we'd embarrassed them. And you could tell because They arrested us, banged us up for 14 hours. They had all the videos on my phone, which you just seen, which were clearly us messing about on the channel, not actually trafficking people. But we'd embarrassed them, so it was a case of we were locked up. Houses got raided while we were locked up.
Oh God!
And yeah.
All right. Well, Lee, look, can I just say a massive thank you? Great to have you on the show.